Good afternoon. My name is Gary Romano. I am CEO of Civitas Strategies. We are working in partnership with Homegrown Childcare to help home-based childcare providers apply for and receive money from the Paycheck Protection Program. We've had some really exciting news in the past 24 hours about the program, additional guidance and information that's come out that we want to share with you today, since it's going to be very important if you've been thinking about applying and aren't sure. This may make the program even more appealing. If you already have a PPP, this will certainly be relevant to you in terms of the forgiveness period and how that funding can convert to from debt to being essentially a grant. So the big news, there's two pieces that I want to share with you today. One is 24-week forgiveness. So if you have seen some of the videos, and you can certainly access those that we have done with Homegrown Childcare, the Paycheck Protection Program loan is calculated on 2.5 months of payroll. In the past, the guidance has been that you would have 8 weeks in which to calculate your payroll, as well as rent, utilities, and mortgage interest, and to spend down that loan. And that money, that forgiven money, would then go away. So it goes from being debt to essentially being a grant. Now, that 10-week loan, essentially, that you have, can be spent within those 8 weeks or within 24. So that's a big difference, because if, as you can imagine, if you have 10 weeks of payroll to spend within 24 weeks, chances are there are a few scenarios, in fact, there was none that our team could come up with, where you wouldn't be able to have that money entirely forgiven. Additionally, the Small Business Administration released the PPP-EZ forgiveness form. This is even easier. If some of you looked at the forgiveness form that came out a couple of weeks ago, it was fairly complicated. The EZ is very simple. We're looking at potentially minutes instead of hours to fill it out, and is much more clear. Now, we do still need some more information. We're not sure how the 24-week forgiveness is going to apply to corporations. If you're a nonprofit or a C or an S Corp or an LLC. However, with this guidance, it is very much, we feel very confident that it's going to be in a similar way, that you will also have a path to full forgiveness. The documents required for the EZ form are also unclear, what evidence you'll need to show. So again, if you've heard some of our videos or webinars with Homegrown, certainly keep as much documentation as you can, but the EZ form is going to make it easier to pull that all together. So stay tuned. And then just, some thoughts on what this means for, a home-based childcare provider. This really means you have a path to full forgiveness. So we've talked in the past about how you're going to get this loan. There'll be this 8-week forgiveness period. And what you don't spend in that 8-week forgiveness period, what you do spend becomes your money. But what doesn't get forgiven still stays as debt. Well, with this 24-week period, again, so you can imagine, you have 10 weeks of payroll to spend in 24 weeks. It is much less likely, and again, we couldn't come up with a scenario where you wouldn't be able to have full forgiveness, so have all of that loan go away and be converted into a grant. So if you haven't applied, now may be the moment, especially also with that EZ form, making that process easier. So this may be something, if you've been hedging, should I, shouldn't I, what am I going to do if there's debt left over? This is a really exciting change. If you have applied, again, as you've heard in our webinars with Homegrown, apply to more than one bank. And you can check those webinars out for some suggestions on where to apply, but the more banks you have it in, the better. And the reason is that this all wraps up June 30th. So if you are going to apply, we would strongly recommend you apply now. If you are on the fence, you may want to apply. You could always say no later, but get into the process. If you have questions, don't hesitate to email us. Homegrown has been kind enough to engage us in this partnership to help answer your questions. ppp@civstrat.com. And if you email us, and we have capacity in both English and Spanish, so if you have a preference, put your question in the language of your choice, and we will answer it as soon as possible. Thank you for your time today, and we hope you will definitely consider applying.